Good afternoon and welcome to Liquid Lunch with the Regional Water Authority here on 103.5 WNHH on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Kevin Watsey. I am the Director of Public Affairs for Regional Water Authority, and as I said, you are listening to Liquid Lunch. Today, we're not going to focus on water. Sometimes we do shows about water. Sometimes we do shows that are of interest to the wider community, although water should be of interest to everybody. This coming from the water nerd. Today we're going to talk about business, and we're going to talk about businesses specifically in Hamden and the region surrounding Hamden. Joining us today is a good friend of mine, Nancy Dudchick. Nancy is the president of the Hamden Regional Chamber of Commerce, and she has agreed to come on today to just kind of talk about her chamber, talk about businesses in the area, and what's coming up in the new year. So with that, as we always do every show, we invite our guests to tell us their story, where they came from, where they grew up, and how they got to the position they're in. So, Nancy, welcome to the show.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you, thank
Yes,
you.
and tell us your story.
What's a story? What a way to start.
Yeah.
Okay, how far do I go back?
Yeah, rather than me reading a bio,
Oh, yeah,
give us your own bio.
Our own bio. So I'm a local girl. So grew up, born and raised in Ansonia, not very far from here. So a proud Valley girl. Great location. Loved it. Went to Southern, so didn't really go very far. And many jobs around the area from Stanford to back to New Haven. I worked for the Special Olympic World Games for many years back in 1995
Oh,
when the
wow.
World Games came here for the Special, which is a wonderful.
My daughter has 3 Special Olympic
Does
medals.
she?
Yes, we can talk about that later,
We
though.
can, you know what? I was working in Stanford for quite some time, and back then I wanted to get back towards home, and a job opportunity presented itself. And I took advantage to come back home. So it's interesting because I've had many jobs on this same street. So I worked for Special Olympics, then I worked for American Medical Response, I worked for Yale University, and then I'm at the Chamber, and I'm still on this Whitney Avenue, like this one
Wow.
road for my entire career. So yeah, it's yeah, this is my home, and Connecticut's my place, and I love what I do. It's been quite a journey. I mean, I've had many different types of jobs, but all kind of revolving around events and community relations, which is pretty much what I've done. And events is in my blood, so turning that into the chamber again. I think about how long ago it's been. I just celebrated my 21st anniversary there.
21st.
21st
Wow.
on January 5th. So it's gone by fast, but the majority of my career has been revolved around a chamber. So wouldn't be here if I didn't love exactly what I do.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. And so I want to kick off the show, and for folks who listen to the show more often than not, I love to talk about history
yeah,
and things like that. And so you've been with the chamber 21 years.
yep.
The chamber has been around for 100 years. So
100
you
years.
have led the chamber for 20% of its history. And,
That's an
I'm
interesting way of thinking about
yeah,
it.
I'm pretty good at percentages in my
Yeah.
head. So first of all, happy
Yeah.
anniversary,
Thank you
100
very
years.
much.
Can you
So,
talk a
yeah.
little bit about the how the chamber came about and a little bit about the history of
Well,
the Hamden Regional?
you know what's interesting is I serve on many boards of chambers of commerce, and a lot of our chambers are having an anniversary this year. So something in 1925 with businesses and business growth made people feel that there needed to be an organization specifically geared towards our local business community and how to grow and how to thrive. So definitely something happened in 1925 that a lot of us were able to start chambers of commerce. So, I know from our historical perspective, I know there was a meeting of a handful of businessmen that were in a place in Hamden called Circular Hall, which is where one of the fire stations is right now. And they had a meeting, and they had 16 businesses that signed up that night for $5 a business.
Oh,
And that's where it started from. So it's interesting. It's like you're almost like the caretaker of this organization. I am a big history buff when it comes to thinking about what happened before and how they did it. And if you go back into some of the articles, and there's many, we lost a lot. There was I I believe there was a flood back in the 70s in one of the offices
Mm.
that the chamber had. So they lost a lot of historical records. But I've got tons of news articles from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And, some of the things that they said, why join your Chamber of Commerce? It's still the same today. You just think about, what do we all want to do? We all want to build relationships. We want to grow our business. We want to connect with other people. We want the community to know that we're here. And it's the same. So, you kind of can't recreate the wheel because the purpose of our organization is still remains the same since they founded till it is today. Times different? Absolutely. But the core of what we do,
Core, yeah.
the core of what we do is still the same. I mean, I'm sure you can say the same thing about your organization.
Oh yeah,
It's
175
years.
delivering water.
Absolutely. So, but the mission might have changed and our times have changed, but what we're doing is still exactly what they did back then, just in a different time. And that I just find so, some of the newspaper clippings I find out and saying, why join your local chamber of commerce? I'm like, that's exactly everything. I can say
Yeah.
exactly what they're reading, and put it into another newspaper article. It's the same thing.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So the 16 companies 100 years ago just decided it'd be good to have an organization
Yep.
for their interess.
Absolutely. And
That's
it
amazing.
took off from then. And they all have its challenges, as every organizations do. And again, because we're a nonprofit, we're a membership organizations, mostly geared for volunteers. And back then there's no staff. They believed in the purpose,
Mhm.
believed in the mission to be able to stay together and grow it. So it's really been an interesting journey of getting ready for our 100th anniversary by going through our archives. We put together a 100th anniversary directory. So of like milestone members and people that are also celebrating not so much 100 but 50 years and
Yeah, any one of
75
those 16
years.
companies still around and still
I
members?
don't believe
Oh, that
so.
would be
Goodness, yeah,
interesting.
I know. We're Albertus Magnus is celebrating its 100th anniversary too.
Hmm.
So we just had an event in our office where they were one of the sponsors because we wanted to kick off our centennial celebration together. So there's definitely many that are around it. If I think now that I'm thinking about it, I should be Google searching like where, who was founded in 1925 because I'm sure it's quite many interesting businesses got their start in 1925.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So you started at 16. How many members do you have
16,
now?
I wish.
Yeah.
I thought you said I started at
No,
16.
no.
I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
I was 16 years old when I started.
I'm just
the chamber.
wondering, how many members do you have now?
So
how have you grown?
We're over 400 members.
Wow, so there you go.
Yeah.
That's
So,
pretty good growth.
Pretty good growth. And it's been like, for most chambers, there's periods where there's, new members and there's always this on and off. And that's just some people stay on for 40, 50 years and some people, join chambers for a year or maybe change their business model or move on or close. So we see the cycle. It's like that for every chamber. So yeah, we're proud to have over 400 members, and I can get into a little bit afterwards about the partnership we have with another chamber. We have the partnership with the Mid-State Chamber of Commerce, which is a very unique model that is new. I won't say new to the chamber industry, but new to this area. So we're very very proud of that partnership, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that in a
I'd
bit.
love to hear about that, but
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about your team. So how big is the team that's running the Hamden Regional Chamber?
We have 4, including myself. We have 4 that are running. We have a membership director, Karen Halloran. She's our membership director. I have a office manager and a social media and events coordinator.
Wow.
So yes, we have
a lot of work
4
for 4
team.
people.
You know what?
Yeah.
It is, but it's a small but mighty team. We're used to that. We have a very strong board of directors, great volunteers that believe in what we're doing and want to get involved, and they're actively engaged. And so yeah, so we're happy to have that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so you are not the Hamden Chamber, you're the Hamden Regional Chamber. So talk about
I'll
the
tell you a little bit
regional,
about
the
that.
geographic reach.
You
of-
bet. So I think sometimes I don't think people get confused by the term because there's a lot of different, it was a very conscious decision to change that name. I think we changed it at least a good 15 years ago that we changed that. And it was really, I come from the standpoint of it's member driven. It's always about the member. And when you and I were talking about, I'm like the background person. I'm not in a lot of photos. That's just me because I make it about the member. So a lot of our members came from the different areas that surround Hamden, whether it's North Haven, New Haven, Woodbridge, Cheshire, our surrounding area. So I don't want to say necessarily that's our territory. We wanted our members to feel more embracive of the business organization that they belong to. So by changing the name, made them feel more a part of us versus Hamden Chamber versus Hamden Regional. We cover a wider territory. So those businesses that are in the other towns felt more they were more belonging to our organization. So we did it for the members.
Yeah, so if I'm in North Haven on the border, why would I join the Hamden Chamber? Because I'm not in Hamden, but it still benefits.
It's still beneficial.
It does make sense.
And I think where I always, doing this for so long, every business, in my opinion, should support and belong to their local chamber of commerce. You are a business in X town. You support that town that you're in. You want to expand your reach, join 10 other chambers if you want to. It's completely up to the business to be able to make sure that your business is found, that another business community knows who you are. The more the merrier, but be true to the town that you're in. And that's kind of like where we've always, if you think about it, 1925, to go from Hamden to go to, let's say, New Haven, a lot farther for you to be able to get to with the resources that you had way back then. So people did business in the town that they belong to. That's why there's a chamber in every single town. That's historical, the reasons why that was. You didn't leave your town. So now businesses want to network with, traveling farther distance isn't an issue. So you want your business to be found in multiple different locations, and so you want to be able to have your business exposed to different people, different communities. So that's why there's more of a growth and expansion of people joining multiple chambers at a time, which is a really good thing.
That is a great thing. And so I've been a member of many chambers in my career, and I found some of them focus either on smaller businesses or bigger, large businesses. Does the Hamden Chamber, would you say you're mostly focused on what most people consider small businesses or the big businesses?
Small to mid-size.
Small to mid.
So if you think about New Haven, huge, large corporations. We are a small business community. So our chamber is reflective of the community that we serve. So I would say at least 70% are small to mid-sized businesses, and 30% is a little bit on the larger side. But we are who we are. We can't, we're not saying supporting, but we are true to who our business makeup is. So the small business needs are different from what a larger corporation might need. But there's always something for all of them. So for instance, your business versus a one-person operation. We have to make sure that our chamber is reflective of all the different business models and the different business makes up. So you might come to me and tell me that, again, you do a lot of stuff with our Hamden Fest. You're community-based. You want people to know about what your organization does and how you can support that. So you're going to be going to things or having me provide you with opportunities that are more community-based versus somebody who just opened up a brand new business who might have just moved to Hamden and doesn't know anybody. So their needs are different from yours. So they need to make sure that they're networking opportunities, or they're getting involved in leads groups, coming to a business before hours or after, so they can make good connections. So we have to be well-versed in all of our offerings to make sure that what you need is just as important as somebody else who just started a business and what they need.
So you're kind of all things to all people,
you have to
kind of, yeah.
You have to be. You can't just say, oh, we're just this, so you can't be. We have to be. And that's like the beauty in, coming up with new opportunities and new ideas. And that's like, because we can. Like we're governed by a board of directors, but if we're, like, say, for instance, Hamden Fest didn't exist before. It was a crazy idea I threw against the wall and see if it stuck.
And we're going to talk about Hamden Fest.
But you can come up, like, as a chamber, what's wonderful about it, you can, like, what does the community want? What does the community need? What do our businesses need? But it's about the businesses first. So a Hamden Fest is developed, but it's around a business expo. So there's a tent around our businesses. So we want you to see them first. So anything that we do creative, outside the box, what we can do for the community, it's business first. But we have to be, like you said, we cannot be everything to everybody, but we really sure do
You
try.
do try.
We really do try.
As you said, the interest of the Regional Water Authority, we have different needs from a chamber than, like Maria's Florist does.
Of course. Yep.
Do you ever see those things coming into conflict? Like, now?
No.
Because I will say, I've been at some chambers where you have a handful of members on this side wanting A and this side wanting B, and they're opposed. And I will say, and maybe that's because the one chamber I'm thinking of was very, very, very heavily involved in legislative efforts.
Sure.
And so that's where I think a lot of the conflict within chambers came from.
Sure.
You have certain members that want a certain tax
Right.
being done this way versus that way. So did your chamber get involved up in Hartford at all?
We have a governmental affairs committee, a very strong, active. I mean, we just met on Friday, and so yes, we have a great relationship with CBAA. We're always at the Capitol. But I have a committee that focuses on the needs, and we make sure that our businesses know what the legislative agenda is going to be this year of what we're focusing on. A lot of our businesses really care about what's happening within our own community. So yes, our role to make sure that those larger companies know that we've got their back, that we make sure that we have with our legislative agenda and with our committee by bringing the governor here every single year, bringing our local opportunities for networking with our local legislators, so the small businesses in our business can get a chance to network with them and get to know them on a one-on-one level. So throughout the year, there's never an opportunity where you can't make connections with our local legislative leaders that are making decisions at the Capitol for them. We bring that locally, so when they go there, they can take care of it.
Okay, and then you mentioned CBIA, so you also work through them if there's
We do.
And RWA is also a member of CBIA.
Well, we have our what do you call our state association, which is our Connecticut Associations of Chamber of Commerce Executives. So the MEs in every other chamber, CBIA has a division that they organize our association. So we're always in front of them. We're always listening to what they're doing. So there's constant communication between CBIA and all of our chambers throughout Connecticut.
That's very interesting. See, as we said before we turned the mics on, I love to hear the nuts and bolts of how things work.
Yeah.
I just think I'm fascinated by that. And thank you for going into such detail, because I know some folks I talk to don't like to go into a lot of detail about the nuts and bolts of how their organizations work, and I just find it's interesting to learn that stuff.
It's different. I mean, nonprofits, I think sometimes people do forget that chambers are nonprofits.
Right.
It's when the pandemic happened, we turn our full focus on our businesses and offering resources and tools and making sure that they were taken care of. They don't forget that it was happening to us too.
Right. Yeah.
So, you think about, a business after hours, all these events that just completely stopped. So we were directly impacted by what happened. And things completely shifted when it comes to the way people work and working from home. And how does that affect attendance going forward? If the pandemic was 2.5 months versus 2.5 years, it would be a completely different story.
Right.
But it really definitely changed the way we do business. And we as chambers have to adjust along with that as well.
And did you, I didn't plan on talking about COVID, but I think it's interesting. Did you recover? Like, are you kind of back to pre-pandemic kind of attendance at events and participation and membership?
Honestly, large events are just fine. Large events are back to the way that they were. Smaller events are a little bit of a challenge. I think it'll get back there. I think people are, if you're working from home and do I want to go back out? Do I want to go network? I'm already home.
It's so true.
Do you know what I mean?
Right?
So I am I can scream it from the rooftops. I am such a firm believer in constant networking and meeting new people and being face to face. Again, if I didn't believe so much in that, I wouldn't be in the position, the job.
Yeah, you wouldn't be a good chamber.
No, I wouldn't be
leader if you didn't believe in that.
It was important in 1925. It's important now. It's going to be important. You want to do business with people you know.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, right? Because I like being in the office. The RWA kind of has a hybrid work schedule. I'm in the office most days, but if there's an event I need to go to, I will definitely work from the office that day because I
Yeah,
personally hate getting dressed up to go to an event from my house and then just go back home.
sure,
If I'm
sure.
gonna get dressed up, I'm getting dressed up for the day. I'm gonna
Hmm.
go to the office, and it's a weird little psychological thing almost.
Yeah.
So I actually planned on working from home on Thursday, and then I just found out there's an event that I need to go to. I'm gonna work from the office on Thursday
I hope
because
it shifts. I do hope, and
shifts back to like
I hope it shifts.
office.
I hope it shifts back to that. I just think it really did change. It changed people.
It did.
It changed the way we think. It's changed the way we do things. And I don't know how long it's going to take, or will it? Will we go back to that mindset of wanting to go out and promote your business and shake your hand and,
Yeah.
and meet somebody new that you didn't meet before? I hope it does. I really do.
Yeah, me too. And just as far as going to the office, there's nothing that will replace going into somebody's office and plopping on a chair and just talking to them.
Nope.
And I've been at the
Nope.
water company. It's actually 2 years this week. And so, especially when you start a new job and you don't know anybody
Yeah.
there, to me, being there, being seen, talking to
Hmm.
people, like it's so much better than trying to get a hold of them on the computer and maybe pulling them up on Zoom or Teams. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
Like, um, yeah, I am a full believer that folks should be in the office for the morale of the company and for the morale of yourself. Really, just that
Absolutely.
human interaction is so
You
important.
know, we think that, especially people that are in sales, that need to get their products in front of new people. The most challenging thing I would think is, knocking on doors and people that you don't know. It's, again, that's changed too, of people just walking into your office and showing up uninvited, or
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So that's very, very
cold
different.
call.
Why would you not want to come to an event with 50, 60 people purposely there to make connections to?
Right. It's a
It's
one-stop
just,
shop.
it's
Like
like,
it's
I'm like, why
yeah.
would you not? Why would you not want to do that?
Yeah, if I'm a business development person, I'm joining
You're
every single chamber and going
absolutely,
to
and
every event.
we're like, here you go. Well,
Yeah,
here's people.
yeah,
Take advantage of it. That's what they're there for too.
yeah,
It's the easiest thing in the world to do. So why people would choose to like just do it on their own? We always call it their chamber family. Like in business, if you're starting in business, or even if you're new to a new position, why do you want to do this alone? Why do you not want like a chamber family of people that you meet that become great friends? Why would you not want that? Like,
yeah.
why work so hard? We got you. Here's a room full of people that are here for the same reason you are.
Right.
So much easier. There's so many I cannot. We'd be here next Tuesday if I told you how many stories that I hear of the businesses that's created, the friendship that has been developed, um, just because of what we've been able to offer. And that is the reason why I still continue to believe so much in what we do, and why I would never give up on an organization of a chamber, because I know what it means to so many people. I know
Yeah.
that it has increased people's business. I know these are absolute facts, and it continues to do so. So it's the easiest thing for people to be able to take advantage of at such a reasonable rate
Yeah.
and a reasonable cost, to be able to take advantage of all the things that a chamber can offer. And all you have to do is ask, like, and come up with new, I have businesses or that say, well, have you thought about doing this? Okay. Like, it's an opportunity to let us know what you're looking for. This is, we're running it, but it's the business that's your chamber. You tell us what you want. You tell us what you're looking to accomplish. We have to change and evolve as the times change. We can't do what we did in 1925.
Yeah.
The core and the values are the same, but what we're doing in this time is different. And how can we continue to do that and continue to serve for another 100 years?
Right. Absolutely. And so, with that, I actually want to switch gears a little
Sure.
bit and talk a little bit about some of the different programs, events that the chamber offers, because you do some pretty cool things. And since they're in the morning, let's talk about coffee and connections.
Yeah.
So, talk a little bit about that. Those events that the chamber runs.
And that's exactly what we were talking last week that Albertus Magnus sponsored. It's just a coffee networking event in the morning in our office before you go to work. So the room was packed. We must have had, they were in the hallway out the door. So I want to say 40 plus people were there just for a cup of coffee. And it's just, and I love seeing those get bigger. Like that makes me feel that, okay, that pandemic and getting back together again, coming to these morning, could you just go to the office and say, forget it? I mean, easily, yeah, I can just go to, there's a coffee connections going on. You know what? I'm just gonna go to the office.
And how often do you do those?
We do them every month.
Every month.
Every month. But for like now seeing those numbers grow, that people are coming back. Not to the, like, it's not like those optional ones. We're still working on getting those numbers back. This one that we had last week was my sign of like, you know what?
Nice.
They're coming back. They want to be able to network, meet somebody new and then start their day with something positive that they can go back to the office saying, I made a lead. I talked to somebody that I needed to talk to, and then their work starts.
Nice.
So it was perfect.
And my own personal Hamden Chamber story is we hosted a coffee connections at the treatment plant, and
Which
if
we
you're
need to do
interested in
again.
doing another one, we could
so
do
do.
because not that we were close to the pandemic, but it was a year and a half ago.
Right.
I think we got about 15, 20
Yeah,
people.
but it was still
If you-
that time
Yeah,
of,
and we did a tour of the
Yep.
treatment plant afterwards. But I met a gentleman there, and I mean, I get the name of his organization wrong, but it's the Interfaith.
Dan.
Yeah, Dan.
Yep.
Dan and I have done a number of things together since meeting at that
See?
Coffee and
Yeah.
Connections. So we didn't know each other before then. Now, Dan will reach out to the water
Right.
company when he has a question, or and so we've kind of made that relationship thanks to you and your chamber.
See?
But yeah, I do a little business on air here. If you want to host
Yeah.
another Coffee
Yes.
Connections at the treatment plant, we'd be happy to
We'd love
have
to
you.
do that. We'd love to do it.
And
It's
we'll
such a
include
cool
another
space.
tour.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's such an incredible space. We
Yes.
learned so much that day.
Yeah, we love that plant. It is a beautiful facility. Yes, a water treatment plant can be beautiful.
It can be. It's.
Ours is beautiful.
I think if people, it is beautiful. Like
Yes.
you would never think that. You're driving by and most people say, what on earth is that structure? So for us to be able to open up the doors to have people come in and check it out and walk away with, like, I had no idea this was inside and how to do it. It was loved it.
Yeah, we'll tell you
loved
all
it.
about how we get water from Lake Whitney into the plant and out into the system in about
Absolutely.
an hour. So, you also offer some educational programs.
Yeah.
Can you talk about those a little bit?
So we actually have one that's coming up in February. Well, I'm just going to take it a little step back. We have the Business Assistance Center at our chamber. The Business Assistance Center is run by Richard Pierce from Evolution Enterprises, and he's been doing this for decades. He did a lot of work with the town, and now we're like thrilled that he's a part of our organization. What we found more recently, and maybe say pandemic driven or not, that people really have a lot of business concerns and issues that need more one-on-one conversations. So we also want to know if there's a challenge that a business is facing. We don't want to find out about that after the business closed. We want to find out now. We want to be the resource. We want to help them along the way in any way that we can and solve some of those issues before they become critical. So we launched this last year, and it has been such a success. I don't want to say there's seminars that we have that business can take advantage of, but what we're very proud of is that the same person who's doing it is actually doing one-on-one business solutions. And every business is facing a lot of the same different types of challenges, whether it's human resource issues, employment issues. I hired my friends and now I have to be their boss and they're not liking that. Like there's so many little different issues that these small businesses face that we see more of those calls coming in now than we've ever had before. And so that's why we created this assistance center, to make sure that we are that resources, that they know that they can call us to say, we need to talk to somebody in regards to X. We got him. He'll come your way.
Is there one issue that you're seeing more than any other, or is it kind of spread out amongst
They are,
a bunch of things?
they are so spread out. They're spread out all over the place. I mean, yes, human resources comes into my mind. a lot of HR issues, a lot of employment.
So like
that-
family leave type HR issues, or because I know the legislature just passed the
Not so,
paid family
not,
leave.
no, not so
No?
much about that.
Okay.
Not so much about that. You know, a lot of marketing issues too. And, you know, sometimes businesses could, you know, are bombarded with people saying, you know, into their business, do this with us, and this is how much, do this with us, and they have no
We'll
plan.
maximize this. or
Yeah,
that,
and they're
yeah.
just spending all this money all over the place
Yeah.
without having a, you know, one person kind of to manage that. And not saying that we're managing it, but we know who the people are. Like
Yeah.
so it's been a very interesting journey with our Business Assistance Center, and it's only growing more so now. And we're thankful that we have that, because we don't want to find out that they close before that we are able to kind of step in and help them with a variety of different reasons. And so that's been really good. We have a seminar that's coming up at the lab at Concorp. It's on February 13th, and I thought I might have had my little flyer that I brought with me on that. Yes, I do. Coming up on, and sorry, with my glasses on, it is on February 13th. And what we did with this, it is how small businesses owners succeed while facing the challenges of the 21st century. So therefore, existing businesses that, for, you know, whether it's financing or succession plans, like I want to leave my business to my children.
Right.
How do I go about doing? I need to think about this now. So it's almost like a half day seminar that we're doing. It's $20. It comes with lunch,
Yeah.
and we're donating the money back to Haven's Harvest. So the Business Assistance Center with Richard and the Hamden Economic Development Fund is helping us organize this to be able to offer this to our local businesses. So, you know, all the things that we do that I'm spewing at you at rapid fire is all on our website. It's all on our Facebook page. We have such an engaged.
So what's the website?
It's hamdenchamber.com or
Hamden
Hamden Chamber, Hamden Regional Chamber. You'll still find us, or just stay connected to us through Facebook. You can find everything on there. It's a very, very engaged community on Facebook. So we're posting, like, I can't tell you how many times a day, on whether we're sharing business information stuff of our members, or we're sharing things like this. So there's a lot on that page.
Yeah, so I just want to emphasize, the chamber's doing an event for $20 where you get lunch, and you're going to have access to all of these, you're going to learn how to access all these resources.
Absolutely.
To answer the questions that as a small business you may not have a good handle on. So to me, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
$20.
It's such a small, obviously, amount to be able to get a whole half day worth of knowledge and education. So we do these all the time. We keep the costs as low as we possibly can, sometimes low to none, to make sure that our local business community is receiving the best information that they can and helping them survive and thrive.
Wow, that's amazing. So a couple other kind of cool events that you do that are networking and all that. You do some golf. You're doing a comedy night, which I love stand-up comedy. I just love that that's different. Like I said, I've been with chambers for a long time. I've never seen a chamber do a comedy night. You want to talk a little bit about it?
This is like, obviously it's a chamber event, but it's a community event. You know, how can we provide something on a snowy or cold, like we need to do something local versus going anywhere else. So do you know Peter Voris over at Frescoes?
I do not.
You know Frescoes.
Yes.
So he's actually a comedian as well. He's an actor, he's a comedian, so he knows these comedians all over the country. So we take his resources and we have him bring all these fun comedians. We've been doing this for several years, and it's just a fun local night out. $40. Bring your own beverage, bring your own food, and come here. Great comedians that are very, very. I mean, they're not local to. They're local to here, but they're, all over the place. So now we bring them to Hamden and have a really fun evening. So yeah, it's something we do for the community on that.
Right. And then golf too. You do a golf. If I remember correctly, you have like a.
We have many.
You do like a women's
leagues,
golf,
we do
right?
women's.
Yeah.
We do our Madras Open. Our Madras Open is sponsored by Toyota of Wallingford, and we raise funds for a lot of different organizations. So it is a charity tournament as well. We're if you think about Hamden, we're surrounded with golf facilities, Laurel View, New Haven Country Club, and Sleeping Giant. So golf is a really big item in Hamden. I love it. It's my passion as well. So I want to have things around golf and opening opportunities for women for our own ladies tournament. But when it comes right down to it, what is it all about? It's our co-ed golf league. It's all getting businesses together to network with each other. Just happens to be on a golf course. So it's just another networking opportunity for people to get together and still enjoy the game. And so, yeah, anything golf related, we're so on that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a big golfer too, and I found in my career that the amount a company golfs is directly proportional to how much the CEO does or does not like golf.
Yeah.
I've had presidents who loved golf, and
Yeah.
that meant I got to play a lot of golf. And I've
See?
had presidents who hated golf, and in those years I
And
didn't
those
play
you
any
do.
golf.
So you should do our league then. So
Yeah.
we do our league every Tuesday, starting from May. And it's from like we do it May until it snows.
Nice.
So it's just
It's
it's
just
just
a
a
little like nine and
co-ed.
dine kind of
It's
thing.
9, yep, at Laurel
Nice.
View Country Club, and it's the View now. And we're there. We've been doing that for many, many years, and it's all co-ed, and you meet great, fantastic people, and then you go back to the 19th hole and continue networking.
Beautiful.
Yep.
The last event I want to talk to you
Yeah.
about is probably the coolest event, at least I think, which is Hamden Fest, which you said, it's
Yeah.
what, 5 or 6 years you've been doing
Mhm.
this. So I've attended the last two, and the RWA has sponsored the
Yes.
last two. Can you talk about kind of and actually last year, right after Hamden Fest, Mayor Garrett came on and we talked a lot about it.
Yeah.
But can you talk about kind of the genesis of where that came from?
Sure.
And also, I want to talk about, because I'm a nuts and bolts guy, what it takes to actually put on an event. That's a big
Yeah.
event. So I imagine you're already planning. The planning
Oh,
probably started the
absolutely.
day after Hamden Fest
It's a
last year,
well-oiled
right?
machine, so
Oh,
it's
that's-
that which is great. But I wish I can think of the year off the top of my head. We were doing business expos for years. Since I started in 2004, I created a business expo, and we've had it at the high school. We've had it at different locations, and you know how, in my opinion, you do an event for so many years, you have to kind of reinvent. You have to kind of look at seeing what you can't just do the same thing over and over and over again. Times change, people's priority changes. I'm doing a very, very, we would have got 100 business vendors at the high school, like on a Wednesday. And over time, it was really hard to get the community to come in on a Wednesday. So, but that's the time that we were able to
Yeah.
use the school. So, as successful as all those were, I knew the time was changing, that event needed to shift as well. So, I didn't want to do another one. So, it was what can we offer? And so I knew I live in Brantford, and I knew Brantford Fest, and I knew it was a combination of a lot of different moving parts. And so literally I got on the phone and I called the library and said, have you done a book sale before? They go, we've always wanted to do one, but we've never been able to, we'd love to be able to. I said, well, I'm creating Hamden Fest and I want that to be a part of it. We used to have a 5K road race, and it needed to grow. And I went back to the organizers of the road race and saying, I want the road race a part of Hamden Fest. And then it kind of kept on growing from there. I wanted to be able to support local artists and local nonprofits and have local bands. And it just kind of had this melting pot of all these different pieces. So I wasn't necessarily responsible for the book sale. The people at the library were taking care of the book sale. It was just a part of our festival.
Mm.
The road race organizers did this for years. I wasn't involved in it. They took care of that piece.
Right.
So when you talk about all these different moving parts, we were responsible for the overall event, but I also had people managing different pieces of it that I had no business knowing what to do about it. But the first year that we did it, I was doing the business expo for 14 years. And all of a sudden, we created a festival, with the town support. I couldn't have done it without the town of Hamden. We couldn't, as a nonprofit, afford all those other pieces with, the police, the fire, all. So it was a wonderful partnership that we formed because we knew we wanted to offer this to our community. but the whole purpose of it was also, as I mentioned before, was the business expo still existed. It was just in the bubble of a festival.
Right.
So our businesses were still the front and center of what we were doing. Then everything else partnered around it, things
Right.
for the
And you're
kids
getting a whole bunch of people that wouldn't have come
that
to the
wouldn't
high
have
school
come
on
to the
a
high
Wednesday.
school on
Yeah.
a Wednesday
Right, but now they're out
versus
at the park
giving
on
them
Saturday.
a
Yep.
reason to come.
Yep.
But the scariest thing was the day of, because it never existed before. And so in my heart was like, will they come? You know, and it was the worst fear is no matter how much promoting
Yeah.
I do, how much, advertising I do, will they come? And I remember this one moment at the festival that I was away from everything, away from all the, just by myself in the field, because the field is enormous.
Yes.
And I'm just watching. It was almost like Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Like seriously, because I'm
Yeah.
watching all the cars come down on one side, watching all the people come down off the hill on Dixwell, and watching all the people walk up from the library area coming into the thing, and just thousands of people. And so, personally, that was just like my moment of like, yeah, we did a really good thing.
Yeah.
All of us coming together to create something that wasn't there before. And now it's turned into this annual amazing event that only grows from it. So yeah, it's one of if I had my legacy of the chamber after all these years, creating Hamden Fest was my biggest accomplishment.
Yeah, it's a wonderful
Yeah.
event. I spent the day at a table last year, and like the live music was great. I
Yeah.
brought my daughter 2 years ago, and she still talks about the
Does
little
she?
girl that was singing. You had a little girl
Oh, wasn't she
who won like
incredible?
Hamden's Got Talent.
She
I think
did.
my daughter will still bring up the little girl that she
Yeah.
saw singing at Hamden Fest. And it's funny because we were just moving to Connecticut at the time. We had
Okay.
just done our home inspection up in
Yeah.
Naugatuck, and I told my daughter, let's swing on into Hamden Fest before we go back
Yeah.
to New York. And so we were there in that
Oh,
hour
perfect.
to see that little girl. And
Yeah,
and I got really good pizza last year. It really is a fantastic event.
we love it.
So my last question before I
Sure.
turn to the 5 unrelated questions is, if I'm a business owner, I'm looking to expand, and I'm looking at either, I don't know, West Hartford or Hamden. Why Hamden?
Oh, geez.
It doesn't have to be West
I know,
Hartford,
I'm
but
just
why Hamden? Yeah.
Hamden is such a melting pot. If you just think about our restaurants and how diverse all of our restaurants
Great
are,
restaurants.
they're great. And so the restaurants is reflective of our community. The access to the Merit, 91, 95, it is the easiest way to get to anywhere from Hamden. We really are very proud of our businesses. It's a community that cares. It's a community with a lot of support. I love it. I mean, I took over the chamber. I wasn't living in the town at that time so I didn't come from Hamden, but my world is here.
Mm.
Like seriously, I know a handful of people in Branford, and I've been there for 25 years because my world is in Hamden.
Yeah.
And it's really the business community itself. I've got to tell you that those businesses care so much about each other. And again, it's something I get a chance to witness every single day. It's the most caring business community I've ever been around. And so just on that sense alone, if you're starting a business, you're going to get so much tremendous support, from our local area businesses. All they want to do is help.
That's awesome.
All they want to do is promote you. And I'm putting the people in the room. I always say this about like a Coffee and Connections or a business after hours, that I just stand behind and I watch the magic happen. And I watch the networking. The worst thing for me to do is to get control of the crowd to make a few announcements.
Yeah.
And I say it every time. I hate doing it because I hate breaking up what's just happening in front of me. So for the brief 3 minutes that I'm going to talk about upcoming events and thank you for being here, I'm stopping the purpose on why they're there is to make those connections. But it's really wonderful to watch and to witness. And that is really what feeds the people that work with me, my team, and it feeds our passion and our joy is to watch these businesses connect.
That's terrific. So if you are out there and you're looking to expand, come to Hamden.
Come to Hamden.
Come to Hamden or the Hamden region and expand your business and
Yeah.
join the chamber. And with that, I want to turn to our 5 unrelated questions. These are questions that have nothing to do with anything we just talked about. It's just fun.
Mhm.
Nancy, do you have any
Yes.
pets?
I don't. I just know I've rescued a lot of cats.
So you're a cat person.
I'm a cat person.
Me
I've
too.
rescued a lot, and the last rescue passed away. So
Oh,
yeah. So and it's okay for a while. I think my heart needs to heal a little bit
yeah.
more. Those 4 were tough rescues, and animals living outside come with their own set of health challenges. So I need to heal a little bit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I totally get it.
Yeah.
We adopted a 10-year-old cat, and
Oh, bless your
he
heart. Oh,
if and when he passes, we're just going to be destroyed
yeah.
because this cat has just wormed his way into us.
Yeah.
Like,
It's so.
and I've had cats and dogs and fish and hedgehogs and lizards my whole life, but this
Yeah.
cat.
I know there's something so yeah,
Yeah.
and going through that process after is
Yeah. It's tough.
yeah.
Well, what about who is your favorite band or musician?
So I'm for over 40 years um devoted to Duran Duran.
Really?
Devoted.
So
Like
our head of
pure
customer service
pure
for our
devotion.
company has probably seen them 30 times in
I
concert.
then we need to talk.
So wait,
'Cause,
so
yeah,
this is the
last
portion of the show
concert,
where I
yeah.
tell stories because
Mhm.
I used to be the backstage security manager at a concert venue in New Jersey,
Yeah.
and Duran Duran used to play every
Please
year.
tell me.
So I used to.
Did you meet them all?
Oh yeah. So
Did you shake their hands? Tell me.
I have Simon Le Bon's
No, you
autograph
don't.
on
No, you
many
don't.
things,
I have to show you a picture too.
and so Simon, I will just tell you, sweetest guy in the world.
I can imagine.
And-
We're so gonna get off track. Tell me
Yes.
everything.
So he has this weird obsession with hot sauces. I'll never forget. I was
Stop
walking
it.
him through the catering, and he saw the little tiny bottles. Of
Oh my God, I
Tabasco
can't believe
sauce.
you're like standing next to him. I can't.
He literally went up to every table and grabbed those little tiny
Did he?
Tabasco sauces and stuck them in his pocket.
Stop it.
And his manager said, "We can buy you 20 cases of those, Simon." And he said, "No." And he just took them. But
I cannot believe
they
you
are
were
very
walking
cool
side by
guys.
side.
Yeah, it was there 3 years. They played 3 years. I can tell you, A, he's very tall.
I know.
And B,
Very.
very, very sweet guy. So,
Oh, well, let me continue on that for a quick second. So if you think about it, again, I'm much older than you. So I've been in like for 40 years since 1981, 82, where the obsession started. Like I still have a poster in my basement. Like, please, it's still hanging in my basement, and I refuse to take it down. But anyways, if you think about it, and there's certain bands that are the same, like you choose the same way, or Depeche Mode's the same way. But I've grown, like there's new music my entire life with them.
yeah.
So if you think about like if someone who loves the Beatles, and I have tons of friends that are like
That
Beatles
stopped in
obsessed,
1969.
it stopped.
Yeah.
So you're still listening to this incredible music, but it never continued. I have my entire life is, new albums, new music, and that's just a real cool thing to have.
So I'll get on to the next question, but that is such a cool point that I never thought of. Because for me, it's Metallica. I love Metallica.
Are they still putting out new music?
They put out an album a year and a half ago that was as good as the stuff
See?
that they did in the 80s. And I never really thought about the fact that my entire fandom, which goes 35 years,
See?
they put out new music. Some of
I
it's
know.
been terrible. I'm not such a fan that I can't admit some of their stuff has been terrible.
Right.
But yeah, and you're right. So a Beatles or a Led Zeppelin, that stopped.
That stopped.
That stopped 40 years ago.
Absolutely. But what's fun for me now is that, I don't want to say now, but because I was so obsessed that's all I listened to, I'm a late bloomer to Led Zeppelin. I'm a late bloomer to the Beatles. So because that's all I listened to. Is one of those like that's all I'm listening to.
And I will tell you, Ordinary World is top 5.
Top 5
for
ever.
Me. Any song, not just Duran Duran.
Yep, any
band.
song.
I think
100%.
Ordinary World, and I
Isn't it? And
off
Simon
air, I'll
says
tell
the
you an
same
interesting
thing.
song. Tell you an interesting story about that song that their manager told me.
I know, and we'll talk. I know the history behind that and why Simon wrote that.
Yeah, but I'll tell you about how that song became popular. They told me how they got.
Did you?
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Can't
but anyway,
wait to hear. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
I say it often. I could do entire shows talking about music. This Liquid Lunch should really become a music show. What is your favorite hobby when you're not
Hobby?
running the chamber?
It's golf.
Golf?
It's golf. And
What's the best course you ever played?
Oh God, you put me on the spot on that. Um, Best course, they're all so different. Best course to date. Oh, geez, Louise, it just went out of my head because we were so focused on Duran Duran. I went to Bermuda and I played the Butterfield course that's in Bermuda, and that's where the PGA plays.
Yeah.
And I played there, and I was on a cruise with my mom, and I'm like, I am going to get a tee time at this course. And they, but when I got there, I guess they didn't have a foursome, so I played by myself.
Oh wow.
And it was the neatest experience. It was kind of like, oh, great shot, great shot. Like I can't know when to tell. I got a great, but it was still, it's a wonder that was. Yeah, it was that was a beautiful course.
I played. I won't say it's the nicest, but the hardest Bethpage Black.
You did?
Yes. It was an awful experience. I can tell
Oh
you
my
more
goodness, I
off the air.
couldn't
It's because of
imagine.
my friends. They were.
Why'd
they
you
were
play the black
idiots.
course?
Because it's the black course, and because we could get on. So
Did
we
you
played.
see the sign?
Oh yeah. We saw the sign.
I would never even begin to
So the
even
quick
try.
story is my friends
Oh,
were
God,
idiots.
no.
They wanted to play from the tips, so all the way the back. You'd hit a 270-yard drive and barely make the fairway. It was awful. It was awful. I shot 116. Anyway,
Which that's not like,
Yeah.
well,
that was pretty bad.
okay.
Next, cookies,
Yep.
brownies, or ice cream. You can only pick one.
Cookies,
Cookies, what kind?
chocolate chip,
Chocolate chip.
no nuts.
Nice. No, I agree. Last question. Who was your favorite teacher in school and why?
I had a teacher, her name was Miss Spinair, and it was my third grade teacher, and she just became a lifelong friend after that. Like just
Nice.
there's certain teachers that stay with you. She passed away. She had Alzheimer's dementia, very young, very young age. And she was such a like in me like just a genius. Like what a sad thing to happen to such a brilliant mind, but a lifetime lasting friendship, and I'll always remember her as that. She's
Oh, I love
a
to
very,
hear
very
that.
dear friend, and just sometimes teachers become your friends too.
Oh yeah, I
for a
was
lifetime.
my high school guidance counselor. I was friends with her up until last year when she passed away.
Yeah.
She was 89,
Mhm.
but yeah, for
Yeah.
30 plus years we were friends. That's why I asked that question because teachers are so important,
They are.
and I feel most people love to talk about and never get to talk about the one or two teachers in their
Sure.
lives that changed their lives, and I wanted to give a quick forum to let people talk.
Yeah.
I could do
Good stuff.
I could do an entire show just on the teachers that changed my life. So with that, we're going to end the show. Thank you, Nancy, for
Thank you.
coming on. To our listeners, the one thing I do want you to take away from this show is Nancy's Chamber is there to help you if you are a business in the Hamden region. And if you have any questions about how to do certain things, or if you want to drum up new business, or even if you're a business development person who doesn't quite know how to get into some businesses, it's literally, especially for the BD people, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. You're putting all those fish in a barrel. Go to her website, which is
HamdenChamber.com.
HamdenChamber.com. You can see all of their events, including the comedy night event, the event that she talked about with the resources for small businesses, the other golf events, Hamden Fest. It's all out there. They're a great chamber, and they are there to help you. So with that, raise a glass of tap water because we are the Regional Water Authority. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of Liquid Lunch. Join us again in 2 weeks.